Alright, in last two sessions we have talked about screens and we have learned how to create a new screen and how we can link that particular screen to one of the issue type in the project. And then we also have learned how to map a single issue type screen scheme to multiple projects. And for example, if we pick the game designers project and if we navigate to the screens page in the project level, we will be able to see the game designers project is making a use of the other issue type screen scheme. Alright, now in today's topic we are going to see something different. Alright, so whenever we create the screen that we are adding some of the fields, right? Like summary, description, attachment and few other. And even by default, whatever the issue type that I choose given by Jira, some of the default fields are already being populated on the screen. Now always remember, in Jira we do have two different type of fields. Alright, we do type of fields in Jira. Alright, the first one is system fields. Which means summary, description, due date, priority and whatever the fields that are given by Jira by default, they can be called as system fields. Alright, so coming back to Jira, maybe let me click on cancel and imagine that I want to add one of the field onto the development issue type. So let me open the screen. And here when I want to add a new field onto the screen, the above fields are all system fields we did not create by our own and it is given by Jira, and in the same way there are so many system fields that we have in Jira. All these fields are very much common in whatever the organization that we go, because Jira will give the same fields to each and everyone who purchase the Jira software. Now for example that I want to add a new field onto the screen and the new field name is going to be feedback. Alright, as we can see, I have typed the term feedback and I see no matches. It is because the feedback field is not given by Jira, and in the same way I want to add a field called maybe banana. As soon as I type the term, I see no matches. So always remember that we do have two type of fields in Jira. One is system field that are given by Jira and the second type of field is going to be custom fields, which means these are all the external fields that are not given by Jira. And Jira administrators will create the custom fields in the global level. So now we learned that we do have two type of fields into Jira, and let me quickly navigate to Google and let me give you the list of system fields that we have. Alright, I think I was not able to find the documentation of system fields, but I do have the Word document in my system where I have collected the information from the web, so that I will be posting the same in today's session. In today's drive, so that you can make a use of it. So I want everyone just to go through the document and just have a look at the system fields name. Each and everything will be very easy to understand, but not that much important to know. All you have to know is, if someone comes and say add the priority field, we should at least understand that the priority field is given by Jira and it is not a custom field, and that knowledge is much enough. And we clearly can differentiate what is system field and what is custom field if you go through the document just once. So let me close the external source. Alright, now in today's session we are going to learn how to create a new custom field and what are the prerequisites when someone asks us to create a new custom field and add it to their screens on their project. Now let me open the Word document. Imagine that we have received one of the ticket from the game designers project. Hi team. In the project game designers, for the issue type development, we would like to have a new field called feedback. Alright, so we came to know about the project name, that is very much important, and then we came to know to which screen of the issue type we need to add the field. We came to know the issue type name is development, and we have to add the field called feedback. So let me minimize it. Now in the projects, I will be navigating to the game designers, and then we will be navigating to the project settings, and then we will be navigating to the screens page, so that we clearly know onto which particular screen we will be adding the field. We need to add a custom field called feedback onto the development issue type. Now I clearly see the development issue type is making a use of two different screens, ST development screen, and also I clearly see the development screen scheme is currently being shared by two projects, which means if I add the feedback custom field onto it, it will be even impacted to the second project called software development. So just give me 2 minutes of time. So whatever that we learned in last two sessions, I am going to perform the same activity here. So after we completed the activity, then I will be showing how we can create the custom field and how we can add it to the screen. Alright, now I clearly understand whatever the field that I add onto this particular screen will be shared by software development project as well. So the feedback field should only be added to the game designers project in the development issue type. So step number one, what I have to do is I have to take the copy of these two screens and I have to rename it to game designers project, and then I want to create a new screen scheme, and then I want to rename it so that I can map the newly created screens onto this particular screen scheme, so that everything whatever that we have mapped till here will be used only by one project. So finally what we have to do is we have to open the issue type screen scheme, and then we have to copy it, and then we have to rename it to back to game designers, and then we have to do the mapping of the development issue type alone, so that at the very final all we can see is a new issue type screen scheme And inside that particular new issue type screen scheme, everything will remain same. Story, epic task, subtask, and bug. Everything will be shared by two projects except the development issue type. So let's perform the activity real quick and then let's talk about the custom field creation and the remaining activity in today's session. Alright, let me navigate to Jira and let's navigate to the screens in the global level by clicking on the admin coggle, by clicking on issues, by choosing step number 1 screens, and here we have to search for the first screen, which is ST development screen, and let me pull that up. And now I want to take the copy of this particular screen because it is being shared by two projects. We cannot make the changes, and if we make any changes it will be impacted by all the two projects. So let me take the copy and let me rename it like game designers development screen. That is totally alright. And in the same way, I want to take the copy of this particular screen as well because we do have totally two screens. And let me search for that in the screens in the global level. Let me click on actions. Let me even take the copy of it. And let me rename it to the game designers development edit screen. Alright, step number 1 completed. We have taken the copy of this and we have renamed it. And now even the screen scheme is being shared by two projects. So what we have to do? We cannot take the copy, right? If we take the copy of this, the same configuration will be copied. Since we already created a new screens, we can directly even create a new screen scheme. So step number 2, in the global level, I'm navigating to the screen schemes. And then let me click on add screen scheme, and then for the game designers project, for the development issue type, we are going to create a screen scheme. And coming to the configuration in the screen scheme, let me go back to the project level. Alright, I can see for create issue and for view issue, there is a software development. There is a same screen. And only for the edit issue, there is a different screen. So what I want to do is, whatever the screen that are used multiple times, I want to make it default. So here the default screen is going to be game designers development screen. So that while creating and while viewing, it will be applicable. And once the screen scheme has been created, I want to manually map the edit issue operation to the GD development edit screen. So let me quickly create, and before that let me take the copy of the name. Alright, a new screen scheme has been created. Let me open that screen scheme. Now as we can see, the create, view and edit issue operations are currently making an use of the GD development screen. But we clearly know for the edit issue operation, we want to make an use of a different screen, and that is going to be GD development edit screen. So let me click on add. Alright, now we have created successfully an individual screen scheme with the appropriate configuration as similar like before, but the screen names are new, which means it will not be impacted to two projects. So the very final step is that we have to navigate to the issue type screen scheme, and we cannot make any changes inside this particular issue type screen scheme, right? Because whatever the changes that I made will be impacted to other projects as well. And the reason, let me show that real quick. So in the global level, let me navigate to issue type screen schemes and Control F and Control V. Alright, Now currently the ST Scrum issue type stream is using by 2 projects, so we cannot make any changes inside this. If I do anything, it will be impacted to both the softwares. So what we can do is, just in case, let me have a look. Alright, we do have the one of the issue type screen scheme, right, which was given by Jira earlier for the game designers. I thought GD is the key, but the key is GAME. Either we can make an use of it. If not, what we can do is we can directly click on add issue type screen scheme, and then we can give the name. For the game designers project, the project key is going to be GAME. I thought it is going to be GD. GD is for some other project. So let me give the project key name, and it is going to be issue type screen scheme. And here we have to choose the default screen scheme for this particular issue type screen scheme. So I want to replicate the same project configuration, but here we are going to do it manually. Now totally we do have 6 issue types in the project, out of which I clearly know 4 issue types are making an use of one default screen scheme, and that screen scheme name is going to be ST Scrum default screen scheme. So I want to use this particular default in the global level, so that all the 6 will be making an use of the default screen scheme by default, and later we can manually map the remaining 2 issue types. So ST Scrum default screen scheme, so let me choose the same. ST Scrum default screen scheme, let me click on add. Alright, so thus issue type screen scheme has been created successfully, which is game issue type screen scheme. So let me get into it. Now I clearly see each and every issue type in this particular issue type screen scheme making an use of the default screen scheme. And now I want to replicate the bug at the very first time. For the bug issue type, ST Scrum bug screen scheme. So let me do that. In the global level, let me click on this option. And for the bug issue type, we are going to make an use of ST Scrum bug screen scheme. Let me click on add. And the very final one, it is going to be development issue type. So for the development issue type, instead of using ST, we have created a new screen scheme, right? That is going to be GD development screen scheme. So let me choose GD development screen scheme, and let me click on add. Alright, now we have successfully created a new issue type screen scheme, and currently this particular issue type screen scheme is not mapped to any project. So let me directly navigate back to the game designers project, and let me click on actions, so that I will be able to choose the newly created issue type screen scheme for the game designers project. And here the newly created issue type screen scheme is going to be game issue type screen scheme, and let me click on associate. Alright, now we have completely configured the screens page. As I can see, the issue type screen scheme name has been updated. As we can see, all the issue types except development is making an use of the 2 projects. Software development and game designers, software development and game designers. When it comes to the development issue type, it is not being shared by any project. And even if I elaborate it, I have added 2 screens, and if I open the both screens in 2 different tabs, I can confirm this particular screen is only shared by game designers, and even the edit screen is being shared only by the game designers. So now it is the time for us to understand or learn how to create a custom field into Jira and how we can add it to the screen. That's the activity that we are going to perform in today's session. So whatever that we have done till now is completely the revision, or I can say one of the tasks that we have learned in last 2 days. So before going further, I quickly would like to take down the questions. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions from anyone? Okay. Arun, any questions?
No, sir. Well,
All right, thank you. So now it is the time to learn the custom fields topic. Now we all know how to add the system field, all right? So as for the requirement, coming back to the requirement, from here the ticket starts. In the project game designers and for the issue type development, that they would like to have a new field called feedback. Now when I come to this particular screen, I clearly confirm that the development issue type in the game designers project is making an use of the individual screen scheme and individual screens, which means we can directly add the feedback custom field onto the particular screen so that it will not be impacted by any other project. So what are the prerequisites before we create any custom field into Jira? Alright, the first thing we have to know the name of the custom field. And we clearly know it's going to be feedback, so we are clear with the point number 1. And the second thing that we have to know, where we need to add the custom field. We want to know the project name and the issue type or types details. On which issue type in which project we need to add the custom field. So even we are clear with both information as per the above ticket. So the third step is going to be we have to know the custom field type, and it is a new term that I have used. So what exactly is a custom field type? Now coming back to Jira, let me click on create. We clearly know that summary, description and attachment all are fields, right? But if I have a look at the summary, let me start typing something. It is only a single line, right? And now let me start typing in description. I can even make an use of multiple fields. It is of one type and it is of another type. Coming to attachment, I cannot type anything. All I can do is I can attach some document from somewhere. And coming to assignee, we cannot type anything, but it is an user picker. So whatever that we see in Jira, each field is of each field type. I can say text single line, I can say multiple line, I can say an attachment, and I can say it is an user picker, and I can say it is a date picker, something like that. So in Jira we do have multiple field types. So all we have to grab the information is we have to know what field type the feedback field is. Whether the feedback field is having any options, or is it something that the user needs to type manually like a single line, or we have to know whether it is going to be a multiple line. So the important thing we have to know is the custom field type. Imagine that we have received the field type as maybe text field, multiple line or single line, anything would be fine. They have mentioned text field. So these three details are very much enough in order to create a custom field. Now we will be learning how to create a custom field in Jira. Alright. So in the second tab, let me navigate to Jira. And first thing, who will be raising the request? It is from any project. Maybe the project leads or admins. Second question, who will be creating the custom field? It is only by the Jira admin. And the custom fields can be created only in the global level. no other people will be having the access except the Jira admins. So coming back to the admin coggle, we do have an issues. Let me click on that. Just like how we have completed the issue types and how we have completed the screens, if we scroll down a little bit down, under the fields topic, the very first tab is custom fields. So let me click on custom field, and these are some of the fields given by Jira. Nothing much to spend time on it. Now, in order to create a new custom field in Jira, we do have an option called create custom field. So let me click on create, and here is the type we have to choose. What is the field type? So in Jira we do have multiple fields, and after we complete this particular requirement, I'll be coming back to the page and I will be explaining what each field type exactly means. So for now I want to find the term text. As I can see, there is a text, short text, which is a field I can make an use of, and let me click on next. So in step number 1 we have choose the field type, and step number 2 we have to give the name of the field, and the name of the field is going to be feedback. So we have chosen the field name, and if I want to give any description to it, it is only for the visibility for the next people while they are creating or making a use of the feedback field. So let me give the description as something like this, and let me click on create. Now a custom field has been created in Jira. It doesn't take more than 20 seconds of time. Alright, coming back to here. Now step number 1 we have completed the custom field type, and step number 2 we have created the name of the custom field, and currently we do have the feedback custom field in Jira, even if I go back and close the tab. And the very last point is we need to add the custom field, onto which project, onto which issue type, the details of it. So now we clearly know that in the project game designers, under this particular issue type screen scheme, there is an issue type called development, and we clearly know development issue type is making an use of GD development screen scheme. So we have to make sure what is the screen name that development issue type is using. Either we can see directly by clicking on the screen scheme, or even we can navigate back to the project settings screens. Anything would be fine. All we need to get is the information. So let me open the screen scheme. So I clearly find the name of the screens. I see that in the project game designers, for the development issue type, there are totally 2 screens. So onto this particular screen we have to add the feedback field. So let me take the copy of the screen name, and let me go back to the custom fields page. So in the step number 3, as soon as the feedback issue type has been created, it will ask, alright, you have created a new custom field called feedback. So onto which particular screens that you want to map this particular feedback custom field. So in the step number 3, all I can do is to search for the appropriate screen. It will populate all the screens that are present in Jira, out of which we have to check box onto which screen that we want to add. In our requirement, we want to add totally on 2 screens that belongs to the development issue type in the game designers project. So let me take the copy of the second screen name. Coming back to the global level custom fields page, let me search for it, and let me even checkbox it, and let me scroll down and let me click on update, which means we have successfully added the feedback custom field in the game designers project onto the development issue type screens. And if we want to do a recheck, all we can do is click on projects, click on game designers, And in the project level, again we can navigate back to the screens page. And we can elaborate the development issue type, and we do have two screens, so let me open the two screens in two different tabs. And if we completely scroll down, I can see the feedback custom field. I can see the feedback custom field. So while we are creating an issue in the game designers, in the development issue type, if we completely scroll down, we will be able to see the feedback custom field, and we can see the description that we have added, so that while creating the issue we will be knowing the use case of why this particular field is. And I can see the field type is text field, and all we can do is to type anything. So this is how we can create a custom field in Jira, and this is how we can associate a custom field onto a particular screen or a project or to an issue type. So let me click on cancel. Alright, now we all understand what is a custom field and how we can create a custom field and what is a field type and how we can associate to the project. Now it is the time to grab some information on what are the different field types that are available in Jira. So currently we are in the custom fields global level. So whenever we are creating a new custom field, we can see different field types. Now the very first one is checkbox. Now if we choose this particular field, what is the functionality that we get? Alright, now we already we have written MSET, IIT or something, right? There will be some multiple choice questions. If there are 4 options, not just one, might be 2 or 3 different options that we have to select, which means ABC or maybe BCD or something. 3 or 2 options, multiple options needs to be selected for few of the questions. So for example, if we have one of the field, like what is your favorite 5 dishes, we can add some 10 different options to it, and we give the ability to the user to choose more than one value. So we can make an use of the checkbox field type, and we will be performing this, maybe creating the custom fields in next topic, next session. So this particular field type will be used to choose multiple options at the same time. Now the next one is date picker. In any organization, in any domain, then definitely there will be some information that needs to be captured in terms of date, right? Maybe if I have a school, I'll keep in my school project date of joining, something like that, so that we can fill the data onto that particular custom field. And then even sometimes date time picker. For example, if I'm working in a small automobile shop, some car came to check up, and I want to give the time and I want to give even the date as well. So we can make an use of the date time picker. It might be used in any scenarios, anytime. It completely, the decision will be taken care by the project leads. As a Jira admin, we only have to create a custom field and we have to map it to the exact field type. So as a Jira admin, it is important for us to know what different field types that we have in Jira. And then the next field type is labels. You might not understand the term labels at the moment, but let me quickly show what is a label by adding the labels field onto any particular screen. I think by default Jira will give onto any particular issue type. Let me find that. Alright, we do have the labels, which is a system field. Label is nothing but, for example, I'm working in some automobile sector, and for us we are receiving multiple brand cards. So while creating the issue, maybe if I want to give some kind of keywords. Alright, I have received the card from Hyundai. I can make an use of the label. Labels are completely uncontrolled and will be used just to give some reference to the issue, so that going forward maybe I create hundreds of issues. By making an use of the filters option, we can filter out the labels, like how many issues in this particular project that belongs to Hyundai, so that I can maybe populate some 10 to 15 different issues. So that is what exactly the label means. We cannot define the labels in any other terms. I can add a new label ABC, I can add a new label XYZ, anything can be fine. So if we want to give something as a reference, we can make an use of the labels field. And even in few of the projects, they want to have a custom field name with the same functionality. So at that particular scenario, we can make an use of the labels field type. And then the next one is number field. I want to go little bit quicker. So any custom field that only requires the number functionality, we can make an use of the number field. And even we can use the floating points, the dots in between, and that are completely acceptable. And fields like description, we can make an use of the paragraph field type, where we can use multi-lines, and where we can make an use of bold, italicized, and maybe underlined or colored text if we want to, and it supports all those kind of activities. And then the next one is radio buttons. Like we have discussed earlier, while we are writing the exams, the multiple choice questions, most of the questions like only one answer will be right? If there are 4 choices, only 1 out of 4 will be right. The user will not be choose 2 options at the same time. So if only one of the option is right, then we can make an use of the radio buttons, where there will be radio buttons, and if there are 10 options, out of which the user will only be able to select 1 at a time, but not 2. And then we do have one of the field type called cascading. Alright, what is the term cascading means? So let me go to Google and let me open Flipkart or Amazon, anything would be fine. Now imagine the button that we are seeing here and the options that we are seeing here. I think Amazon did not give very well. I think let me go to Flipkart. And I want to see the options here. Alright, I think they have changed the functionality, no issues. So as we can see, in the cascading I can see 1 and I can see 2, right? So imagine that whatever the options that we see here is 1. So now when I choose books, what will happen? Automatically when I choose the book, some results will be populated in the right side, where I can see some 20 different options. And when I click on electronics, maybe a new option will be popped up, a new box, and where we can see TVs, mobile phones, something like that. So in Jira, coming to the cascading custom field, in the option 1 we can choose one value, and then we can decide for that particular option what are the different values that we can populate it in option number 2. The same thing can be applicable. In the left side we can keep some 5 different options, and for each option we can make an use of 15 to 20 different values if we really want to. So that is how we can make an use of the cascading custom field. And all of this we will be seeing the examples in next session. For now I'm just explaining what are the different field types that we have, so do not get confused. And then we do have the multiple choices. I think we already covered the multiple choices, and that particular field type in the form of checkboxes, and the same functionality we do have in the form of options. So only the visualization will be differ, but the functionality is same. If there are 10 options, the user can select multiple options at the same time. And as similar to the radio buttons, here we do have the radio buttons visuality, and we do have select list single choice. If there are 4 or 5 different values, the user will be able to select only one option at a time. Only the way that we look at that field will vary. And then the next one, short text, where we have taken the example of the feedback custom field where the user can type only one line if we really wanted to. And then we do have the field type URL. Mostly if anybody comes and say that we want the field that's related to some website, we cannot give them the short text or maybe the options, right? The best option to give them is the URL field, so that people will make an use of the URL. Whatever the URL that they type, it can even convert sometimes into hyperlink. And then the final one is user picker. When it comes to the user picker, in each and every issue we do have a user picker called assignee report or something like that, right? So whenever we create a custom field and we make an use of the user picker will have the capability to pull the list of users that are available in Jira. So just in case, imagine that one of the project is having multiple assignees for a single issue. So what they can do, as a project admin, they will raise one of the request like, we want to have a new custom field in our project, and the custom field name is going to be second assignee. So I can keep a new custom field called second assignee, and I can choose the field type as user picker, so that the project people will assign the one issue to two different people and they can track the data based out of second custom field. So in those scenarios, we can make a use of the user picker custom field. So these are the important field types that we have to learn in Jira.